Hi and hello, my name is Cass and welcome to my channel where I read a bunch of books and I talk about them a lot. Today I thought we would do an embossing video. I actually have two of these. This is the first one I received from my best friend. And I just have never gotten around to actually like embossing a bunch of the books that I like, so I'm not gonna say this will be like a long series, but I'll probably make this a little series where I take different authors' book series that I really love that I'm not gonna get rid of and just talk about them while I emboss. So yeah, this will be my first time doing it, and today's subject, we are going to be embossing my many Katee Robert books. And I'm gonna chat about the different series, how I got into them, why I like them, and we'll just go from there. So, please pardon my appearance since this is a more casual video, and the camera will mostly be pointed down, not at me. So yeah, hope you enjoy. So to start us off, we're going to start with the first Katee Robert series that I ever read. And no judgment, listen. Yes, these are monster romance books. I will not be taking criticism at this time, thank you. So this is the Deal with the Demon novels. It's a series of 6 books. All relatively short. They're all about 200 pages or so, really quick reads. And these are the series that my best friend recommended. She was reading them. She was on like a kick of reading like weird romance novels, short ones on like Kindle Unlimited and stuff. And she told me to read these because we wanted to do a roleplay kind of based around them. And so I picked them up, and from there, my obsession with Katee Roberts began. So, of course, we're going to start with these. The first part about this that's going to be very fun is me trying to remember how to do this. As you can see, I did like, it's getting caught in the glare. I did like a couple tests with some success. Yeah, they're kind of limited, admittedly. So what I'm going to do, I swear the other embossing videos will probably be much better. But in any case, I bought all these stickers specifically for this embossing video. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open it up, put my embossing sticker right on the front, and then I think, if I'm squinting correctly at this embosser, I believe the back is supposed to be in. So, gonna grab this, slide it on in there. We're gonna see if I do this correctly. Ah, okay, I did. I didn't. Dang it. Alright, I did it the wrong way, but that's okay. But it's very cute, nonetheless, even if the words are backwards. Now I know to go the other way. Cass's Boo Boo the Fool. But you know what? That's alright. We'll fix it this next time around. Alright. I've done a few experiments in the time since cut clips, so I went ahead and put an embossing sticker on here. And I think this might be upside down. Oh no, it's a little too far. That's okay. They can be a little sideways. Going down. There we go. From the Library of. We got it. It's a little sideways. But that's okay. What matters is it's done. I know that I haven't quite been talking the way that I wanted to about these books. So instead of me stressing about trying to emboss them correctly, we're going to talk a little bit more about it. So these are the first two of the books, featuring a dragon in the first one and a kraken in the second one. I'm not going to justify why I like these books so much. I'm just going to talk about them. So as you can see, this one's a little waterlogged. The second one is too, unfortunately. When Ray got these for me, she had to send them. We live super far away from each other. So she sent them to me, and unfortunately the package got waterlogged and the books got waterlogged with it, which was really sad, but it's all right. I can still read them just fine. It didn't mess with any of the words, so not too stressed about it. Anyway, so the Deal with the Demons series is about they're interconnected standalones, and they're about different women who make a deal with a demon, and in exchange for something, they spend 7 years in the demon realm with these monster men, who are given the opportunity to seduce them, essentially. However, they can't be forced. Consent's super duper important. They're protected. They can't be hurt. It's all part of their contracts, and contracts are super important in this world. So the big thing that I definitely initially liked about all this... Oh, this one's upside down. They're kind of all over the place, but that's okay. So the thing that really appealed to me when I first heard about these novels is that consent was such a big thing, because when Ray initially told me the concept, I'm like, oh, they get kidnapped. That's like a very typical romance novel trope. But the answer actually is no. They don't get kidnapped. They willingly come. They have deals made for their own different interests. They're protected, which really helps me in particular, because I don't want to say that I'm not a dark romance girly, because I am, but I'm very, very particular about my dark romance. I'm not, for sake of example, I mean, this book has been dragged back, forth, which way, whatever. Haunting Adeline, and the books by that author are really not my cup of tea, dark romance-wise, because I just don't really vibe with stalking and, essay being treated like it's not a big deal, or being romanticized. That's just not my vibe. These aren't necessarily dark romance. The most dark romance out of them is this one. The third, fourth, The Demon's Bargain is kind of nebulous in where it's at, in the order of things. But, and even that's still very much like, everything is consensual, and, there's explicit consent, and, like, sure, there's kind of, sort of, dubcon, but not really. Yeah, it's just kind of a whole thing. But, yeah, there's always consent, and that's my big thing with all of Katee Robert's books, even the more, like, questionable ones, like, not questionable, the more, like, darker romance ones, is that there is always consent. And that's a big thing for me. So yeah, anyway, so that was a big thing that I really was excited about with these books when I first got told about them, and I just continued the series. Actually, I'm more caught up now than Rhea is. She hasn't read the last one, and I've read all of them by now. Obviously, I own them all. These are books that I got, like, almost immediately as they came out. I pre-ordered the last two, because these four were out when I started. In fact, in case you can't tell, this has a little extra Katee Roberts thing from me getting it early, including her signature. So that's super nice. But yeah, so my favorite book in the series, I'd say, is this one, actually, Succubus's Prize. It's sapphic, which is awesome, and not actually very usual in Katee Roberts' books. I've noticed, at least the ones that I've read, even when there are like thruples in her books, it's usually 2 men and 1 woman. This is different in like the last Dark Olympus novel is a 3-way all women. And then I believe, I haven't gotten to it yet, but one of the Wicked Villains books is sapphic. And I think another one is a throuple with 2 women and 1 man. But primarily, there isn't a lot of sapphic. This was the first sapphic of hers that I read, which was really exciting. But yeah, I really like this one. I think I like the relationship the most out of this one. The religious trauma in it hurt me a little bit, but it was all good in the end, and I really liked it. So yeah, and unfortunately, I don't necessarily have a least favorite out of this series, I don't think. But there were definitely some that I was more frustrated with than others, especially the final one, which is the one we're about to emboss here. As you can see, I've swapped to just doing it on here so I can like put it properly in the book. Not what I wanted to do, but we all must make sacrifices for aesthetics. But my thing about this one is it felt like it was fine, but I definitely wish there had been more from it, I guess. The resolution came really quickly. I wish they had talked more. I definitely wish we had focused a little bit more on, in this case, Azazel. Azazel is like the big demon over everything. That's why his book is last. And it just didn't quite hit the same way some of the others books in the series did, and that was disappointing, but I still liked it. You know, I gave all of these little gold embossings because I like them. But this is the series that got me into Katee Robert, so it will always hold a very special place in my heart, because I like her books a lot. Some of them have their problems, but honestly, I was down for it. And it's something I can talk about with my friend, and that's always a good thing in my opinion. But this was the first series I ever got into of hers, but now I think we're going to... Technically, the next one that I'm going to do is only 1 book. Well, it's 1 in 3, but for the sake of us, I'm only going to be able to emboss it once because it's all in 1 book. So the next book I picked up of Katee Roberts is The Court of the Vampire Queen, which is technically 3 books in 1. This is the combined version. So, Sacrifice, and then I don't remember what the Heir and Queen. So these 3 are all just put into 1. And I'm actually giving this one a silver embosser because it's not that I didn't like this. I wouldn't have kept it if I didn't, despite my, you know, almost cult-like dedication to Katee Robert and her books. But putting the books together especially really, I think, put... I don't want to say a straight... Katee Robert has stated, like, I follow her on Facebook. I don't really get on Facebook anymore, but I do follow her, and I check out her account occasionally. But... It looks kind of gold, but there you go, it's silver. The thing is, she's mentioned before on her Facebook page that she doesn't necessarily plan. She doesn't typically have like a hardcore outline, and I think you can really tell that not only in the Deal with the Demon books that I was just talking about, but you can also really see that in this when you put all 3 books together, because not only can you tell that these are 3 books, because they tend to re-talk about points that, like, you just read, and it's because these used to be released, you know, within a year or 2 of each other. But also you can very much see the points where between books she forgot certain plot points, or not even plot points, like certain details, and then contradicts herself. She does it a lot in Deal with a Demon, that whole series. And unfortunately, since I read this the way that I read it, it wasn't as effective, unfortunately. I did really like the end. I liked how they did all that. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, I didn't dislike it. Especially, I will say, I mostly picked this up because I found out that Gargoyle is captive. Grace, who's the female lead in that, actually comes from this series. So they exist in the same world. So it was interesting to read how Grace ended up making her deal with Azazel and how she ended up in this situation. Unfortunately, the thing I really wanted, especially out of Gargoyle's Captive, was I wanted an epilogue. All of the other Deal with the Demon books, I think except for the last one, have an epilogue. This one doesn't, and I don't know why. And I have hunted and hunted for it to see if, like, it exists, but I just didn't get a copy with it. No, it doesn't exist, and it breaks my heart. I want to know what happens afterwards. I want to know what happens with them. In case you can't tell, I also like this one a lot. But in any case, yeah, so I gave Court of the Vampire Queen a silver embosser, because in the grand scheme of the many, many Katee Robert books that I own, this one is definitely the, not necessarily my least favorite, but maybe, yeah, kind of my least favorite, which with Katee Robert books is like, all of the books are like super, super high, so this one, like, being the least favorite is like, doesn't mean it's anywhere below like a 4-star for me. I never officially rated these, but nonetheless. Now let's talk about the Dark Olympus series. So unfortunately with this one, I actually don't own all of them, which is really disappointing. I read Neon Gods and Electric Idol, which are the first two on Libby, on my phone. And then I was like, oh, these are actually really good, and I had the opportunity to buy the third one, and from there I just started buying them all and pre-ordering once I got to that point. So yeah, unfortunately we don't have the first two, but we do have them starting with book 3. And one day I'll probably get the first two just to complete my collection, but right now, honestly, my bookshelf, it's kind of struggling a little. I need to get a new bookshelf. But in any case, so the Dark Olympus series I've talked about a little bit because I have the final book on pre-order, so I will be reading it this year. I forgot that there was beautiful art in here. So I have the last one on pre-order, so I've talked about it a little in my most anticipated video, anticipated books video. And so I've talked about the general conceit of this series a little bit, but I'll talk about it a little more. So this book features different people in the city of Olympus. Not the mythical Olympus, but more like this is just a city that is named Olympus, and there are different people who have the names or titles of the Greek gods. Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon are all legacy titles, but everyone else, like Aphrodite, Apollo, they all aren't passed down through families. They are in charge of different sects, and they all have different ways of becoming those things. Like Demeter is voted in by the people. I'm trying to, Ares features in the third book, and that one is a big competition. The strongest, the last one standing, gets the title. I dropped my thing. Aphrodite is given the position by the first Aphrodite, or the past Aphrodite. They're in charge of matchmaking and such. And so on and so forth. So all of these books are featuring different members within this circle. There are some reoccurring characters, of course, like the Quesos family, which the head of the Quesos, or the eldest son of the Quesos family becomes Zeus. Meanwhile, his sisters, they end up with other titles. One ends up becoming Aphrodite, the other enters the tournament for Ares. And then they also have a brother named Hercules, but he isn't actually really in these as a character. However, we will talk about him more once we get to the Wicked Villains series, because that is where he shows up. But in any case, there's the Quesos family. There is, what are their last name? I just realized looking at these, I'm actually missing another one that's like in the middle. I'm missing. Okay, well, turns out I'm not just down the first two. We got to make that discovery together. But in any case, I think it's Dermaskew sisters, which is Persephone, Psyche, Callisto, and Eurydice. Wow, that was way harder for me than it should have been. And they all have their own books. Obviously, Persephone and Hades, they're the first book. The second book is Psyche and Eros. The book I am missing, as we all discovered together, is the one featuring Eurydice, Orpheus, and Charon, actually. The only book apparently I have featuring one of the daughters is Tender Cruelty, which is Callisto's. Anyway, all of this to say, there are reoccurring characters. The overarching story of all of this is that initially it's just seeing how like their world works, but eventually, especially in the third book, it's kind of revealed that there's like outsiders who have come in, and that's kind of dangerous. And then as we continue on with the books, it's revealed that these outsiders are actually basically like the first wave with a planned like coup coming from outside. And that just gets like more and more of a big deal the more we get into things, and really comes to a head towards the end. So now there's only one book left in the series. It comes out later this year. I've already got it on pre-order. I will be reading and talking about it in one of my wrap-ups, and I will probably be embossing it too when we get there. But I really like this series. I really like how it is, yes, a series of interconnected standalones, but it also like matters. Like everything that happens in all the books matters. As you can see, since I pre-ordered this, I got the signature version. I believe I did for Tender Cruelty as well. Maybe. Oh, I didn't. Oh, I did. But I really liked that these had an interconnected story. My thing with this one is that sometimes the story, suffers for the romance, or the romance suffers for the story. Not all of the books do that balancing act super duper well, which is really unfortunate, but kind of is what it is. Some of these really could have gone a little longer to kind of help with that, especially the Eurydice, Orpheus, and Charon one. That one definitely could have used a few hundred extra pages to really because the romance very much suffered for the plot, which is fine. It happens. But overall, I really like this series. Obviously, I'm following it to the bitter end. I'm really excited for the end of it. I'm hoping that it's a really good one, a really good finale for this series that I have been following for, I guess, a couple years now. So it's kind of sad that it's coming to an end, but what can you do? But anyway, on to the next one. And for our final little series, we have the Wicked Villains series, which is currently being released in deluxe editions. So I have been kind of waiting. I know the whole series is technically out, but since they're all being re-released as deluxe editions, I have been waiting to just get them in the deluxe versions. mostly because Katee Robert has gone through and like fixed some things that she wished she had fixed back then. She's added these cute little annotations at the bottom. There's like little extra scenes at the end that she had originally posted elsewhere that she added on. There's little kink questionnaires. Overall, just really fun. So I wait for these. I actually currently have the 4th one on pre-order. I talked about that one in my most anticipated books list too. So that one's coming later this year. Actually, it's coming this month. That one is the one that's coming this month. So that will also be embossed. Probably in the wrap-up for February. But yeah, so the Wicked Villains series is set. Actually, it also exists within the world of Dark Olympus. So these two series are very intertwined. I mentioned earlier that Hercules from Learn My Lesson is actually from the same family, from the Quesos family that is featured in the Dark Olympus series. So we'll talk about him in a second. But these books take place in Carver City, a place where that is ruled by territory leaders. It's almost like super complex, like mafia kind of vibe. Or I guess technically it's 5 territory leaders. Technically Hades isn't a territory leader, but he basically kind of functions as one. So it features them, their romances, and also like their struggles for power, how they kind of run like into other territory leaders. Okay, I thought I did this wrong. See, and these have these beautiful like full color arts in the front. I love them so much. But yeah, so all of these kind of feature different things. So this one is, the first one is Yasmina and Jafar. Obviously based off of, from Aladdin. Ali comes in, of course. I think she mentioned, Katee Robert mentions at some point, like, when I wrote this, I'm trying to remember. She wrote this just because, you know, what would it be like if Jafar won, essentially. Obviously, this is, like, very different in a lot of ways. The whole mafia thing and everything else. But yeah, it was pretty good entrance into the series. I really liked it, which is why I started buying the other ones. It took a while for the other ones to come out. Learn My Lesson actually came out earlier this year, where The Opponent came out a few months ago. And then, of course, the new one's coming out this year. Unfortunately, she's kind of slowed down her re-releases. So it's going to be a while before I manage to get my hands on the 5th and the 6th books in the series as the release. I think she's doing like 1 or 2 a year now, or one every year or 2. So we'll just kind of have to see where we get with that. I know she's releasing a full fantasy book this year, The Tarot Trials. As soon as I found out, I immediately added it to my book list for this year. It's already pre-ordered. I have a lot of faith in Katee Robert to read whatever she puts out. I have full faith. Kitty. But yeah, so we'll see. But I will not be Befreed Katee Robert books this year. That is for sure. We'll just have to see if I'm Befreed Katee Robert books next year. She's releasing a few new things. I'm not sure. See, more full color art. Oh, I've just noticed that, like, it's the same window from the other one. It's just different colored. That's cute. But yeah, so this book, Learn My Lesson, is where Hercules comes in, and I know especially she made a lot of adjustments in the re-release for this because she wrote this before she wrote the Dark Olympus series, and that means that, like, both Hades in this book and Hercules have a lot of lore tied back to the Dark Olympus series, so she took this chance to, like, rewrite that, make sure it all makes sense within the world. I'm curious. Yes, they are all in front of the same window. That's so cute. But yeah, she made sure that it all made sense with everything that's happened now. So that's really nice. I like that Hercules actually comes back in the latest Tender Cruelty of the Dark Olympus books. Only over the phone. He talks to his brother, but it was really nice to see him again. He really is such a sweetheart. He gets himself into trouble because he's very much a white knight, but he's very sweet. And I'm glad we got to see a little more of him. But yeah, so like I said, I have talked a little bit about these. I'm really looking forward to the next one. I'm glad I got into them. I'm excited to get to the last two as well. We're kind of building up a little bit towards the very last one for sure, but I just enjoy these. They're good books to kind of like turn my brain off and just read and enjoy a book. You know that the ending's going to be happy, and sometimes you need that in life because, in my opinion, I like happy endings because life isn't always full of happy endings, and I think that's a shame. So I feel like in books and stories, especially ones like I write casually, I mostly write like little fanfics for my friend and my characters. I write D&D fanfics. I always want there to be a happy ending because I feel like the world is just full of so many unhappy endings that I just feel like in my writing I can give myself that happiness by making sure my characters don't suffer from that unhappy fate, Anyway, tangent on me over. So this is technically this is a Wicked Villains book. However, this is a next-gen Wicked Villains book. So this one features actually the daughter of a couple that I haven't gotten to yet because it's the Beast Trio, which is the next book I'm going to get a hold of. It's their daughter. Katee Robert wrote this within the world of like the Black Rose auction, which was a series of 6 books. As you can see, this is the second in that little mini series. All of the books are like combined together in this cute little, like, you flip them and it's one, and then you flip it and it's the other, which was super fun. I had never read any of R.M. Virtue's stuff before this, but I liked this little mini book. But I bought it for Katee Robert. She wrote this as her first entry in her new gen Wicked Villain stuff, which she has since decided to take a break from so she can write more horror romance. But we do have this one, as you can see. And this one is definitely the darkest romance I think she's written so far. Where do I want to put this? I guess I'll put it right in the middle here. But this is definitely the darkest romance that she's done. I was definitely yelling at the main character a little bit for some really stupid decisions she was making throughout this book. Like, no, do not trust this stalker man. What are you doing? However, in the way of Katee Robert, she kept on, like, there was always consent. There was always, yes, the main character was making some kind of super stupid decisions from a safety perspective. But there was always consent. There was always, talking about it. I think it ended kind of abruptly, unfortunately. I really wish there had been a little more talking at the end about the fact that, her now former stalker stalked her and did a lot of other stuff that I won't talk about here because that would be spoilers. But yeah, so don't get me wrong, I liked it. It kind of definitely danced on that edge for me of like what I'm cool with and what I'm not cool with in terms of dark romance. But it passed the test, I guess, for me. In Katee Robert, I trust. So yeah, but yeah, that is all of those books. Slightly different angle for once, because I don't want to move my camera super much. But yeah, so that kind of wraps up all my Katee Robert books. Thank you for hanging out with me as I chatter for like 30 minutes randomly as I emboss these books. I'm thinking next time I will probably do my Ava Huang books. I have her King of Sin series, and King of Gluttony is coming out later this year, so I will probably do an episode talking about those books. Also, there's just a bunch of like YA horrors that I have on my shelf that I really loved that I read last year. I would love the opportunity to talk about those. So I will probably do an episode like just dedicated to those that I really like so I can talk about them more. And God knows how long that video will be because I will not shut up about C.G. Drews. I love her books so much. Or at least the two that I've read. I think she has more that I haven't read, but those two especially I just adore. But yeah, so that's all for today. Thank you for hanging out with me. If you want to hear me talk more about books and ramble on, hit the subscribe button. Otherwise, feel free to leave a comment. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!